Looking for a fast-charging, ultra-responsive stylus for your iPad? Meet the 2X Fast Charge Active Stylus Pen, designed for 2018 to 2025 Apple iPads. Take your creativity and productivity to the next level. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Twisted incel brands women evil hypocrites and defends vile Andrew Tate as toxic world behind Adolescence is laid bare. Choking back tears, the mum confesses her darkest shame. The teenage son she lovingly raised is now a misogynist after being radicalized by vile content online. These fears are becoming worryingly normal in modern-day Britain due to women-hating figures like Andrew Tate, as depicted in harrowing Netflix drama Adolescence. In it, troubled teen Jamie Miller, played by Owen Cooper, stabs to death an older schoolgirl after she rejected him and labeled him an incel, someone who is involuntarily celibate, on Instagram. Stephen Graham, who plays the boy's devastated dad, is aghast by his son's actions, much like the unnamed mum, who called the NSPCC helpline after her son, 17, developed a strong dislike towards women. Scared and unsure of what to do, she says. He often refers to girls as by *********************************************************************************************************************kulturelle She noticed her son becoming increasingly withdrawn, spending hours on his phone, lapping up the bile spout by self-identified misogynist Tate and other hate preachers. I'm worried he is being radicalized from what he's viewing online, the mum says. This is not the kind of person I want my son looking up to. She's not alone in her concerns. A Sun investigation reveals teenage girls have expressed they don't want to live if the misogynistic abuse they have been subjected to continues. They claim to have been bullied and sexually harassed by boys harboring views of Tate, and one charity warns online algorithms are acting as the recruiting sergeant to lure boys to join sadistic online groups dedicated to extreme violence. A leading anthropologist tells us dangerous content of the manosphere blogs, websites, and social media promoting masculinity and misogyny is everywhere, and is no longer on the fringes of society thanks to influencers, who paint a very nihilistic picture of the world, where men are public enemy number one. Someone who knows the manosphere's impact only too well is Dominic Schmidt, who openly identified as an incel and says he hates most women. Due to his misogynistic views, Dominic, from Ohio, is isolated. He isn't close to his family apart from his dad, who he says finds me weird and has very few friends. Of his 4 relationships, the 27-year-old virgin claims all women have treated me badly, which influences his loathing of females and insists manosphere content doesn't brainwash people. Women are so shallow, evil, and very hypocritical, he tells me, and worryingly is unwilling to find exceptions to his beliefs. Women judge us for not making 6 figures, not being 6 foot tall with six-pack abs and a chiseled jaw and a 3-story house. If we don't, we aren't worth anything to them. Dominic believes Andrew Tate is right about a lot of things, and contrary to what's seen in Adolescence, doesn't believe their content corrupts young minds. He says, not all incels are violent like serial killer Elliot Rodger, but there are more than you think. I'm not a violent one. I think that's bad and shouldn't happen. I don't think incel and misogynistic videos brainwash men to kill. Lots of men just hate women. It's only a small amount who kill. I wouldn't blame social media for why someone goes crazy. If it did, all incels would be killing people, and there are a lot of virgin men out there like me. But if you're bullied by a woman, and you're already mentally ill, or have some wrong with you psychologically that may push someone over the edge. Believing women are only interested in men who look like Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Timothy Chalamet, and Tom Cruise, Dominic isn't confident about his love life. He believes in the 80-20 rule, also mentioned in Adolescence, which argues that 20% of the most dominant men hoard 80% of women, and says holes are always treated better. The view is believed by nearly 81% of incels surveyed in the 2024 UK government report, and nearly 55% used anonymous social media to vent their anger in the past year. Those platforms and forums reinforce these views, with Dominic saying, There are posts like, "I'm subhuman trash, what can I do to get women or to improve my looks? Why are women so cruel?" and stuff like that. Some people do talk down on women, calling them SL***S and W***S, but a lot of it is men asking others to rate their appearances to help with looksmaxing. The term refers to men trying to find out what they can do to make themselves the most attractive to women as they can be. Dominic believes an incel dating service or girlfriend experience is in dire need and admits, "Maybe if I wasn't a virgin, I would support women." He wrongly believes men always do harder jobs, so should be paid more, and women shouldn't be allowed abortions because there must be consequences for sex addicts. Dominic also incorrectly believes women's body counts. The number of people they have slept with are the reason for high STD rates across the world. The terrifying rise of the toxic online content is having a chilling effect on both boys and girls, with reports of teens feeling suicidal over the toxic abuse. In one Childline transcript shared with The Sun, a 14-year-old girl says she doesn't want to live anymore because, thanks to the likes of Tate and others, misogyny has become normalized at her school. She reveals most of her female pals have experienced sexual harassment already in ads. "If the rest of my life is like school, then I don't want to live it. I guess I'll just have to suck it up because what else can I do?" It's leaving girls worried about their careers too, with a 13-year-old saying she and pals are picked on by boys, heavily influenced by Tate, for wanting to become things that aren't for women. She continues, "It's made me feel like I'll never get into my chosen field considering people like them will be in the future generation. I hate it so much, but I know I can't do anything to stop it." Another girl, 12, blames this creep Tate, who she labels as absolutely vile, for polluting her brother's mind and had a massive row because he won't stop watching him. She adds, "I don't think my family realize how damaging Tate is to society, and I can't believe people like my brother look up to him." One 16-year-old revealed she no longer enjoys her pastime of playing video games because of sexist remarks in those where there is voice chat. She says, "There were some guys talking about how the only women they like are the ones that stay in the kitchen and keep quiet. They were talking about sex stuff too, and that's when I left 'cause it gave me the creeps." The disturbing views peddled by the likes of Tate, who is facing charges of rape, human trafficking, and forming a criminal group to exploit women, are watched by millions online. He's previously claimed women bear some responsibility for rape, instructed men on how to pimp out women, and leaves vile posts about celebrities, including telling Ariana Grande she looks like a crack H***, and "I would no longer F you." These kinds of views trickle down into the minds of vulnerable and impressionable young men, which in turn is leaving women terrified. One 17-year-old told Childline, "Wherever you look, there's always comments about how women are stupid and useless, and men excusing other men for sexual assault and blaming the girl instead. I don't know how to deal with these feelings right now. The incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys." Online safety charities are deeply concerned, including Andy Burrows of the Molly Rose Foundation, who tells us, "Online misogyny is a growing epidemic that is playing out in classrooms across the country and presents an urgent threat to teens." As well as normalizing sexist and misogynistic views, algorithmically driven content is acting as a recruiting sergeant for boys to join sadistic online groups dedicated to extreme violence that even coerce girls into self-harm and suicide. In the year up to 2023, young men accounted for 83% of children cautioned or convicted for violent offenses. And while most is related to gang culture, the manosphere also bears some blame. A quarter of incels answered, sometimes, or often, when asked if they justify violence against people their group consider enemies, in a 2024 report by the Commission for Countering Extremism. While just over 5% of the 561 incels from the UK and US solely replied often to the question, their honesty may be questioned. Notable recent cases include Plymouth shooter Jake Davison, who gunned down his mother and 4 others before killing himself in 2021. Previously, he spent hours online, and of 1 million files analyzed by police, nearly 60 contained shocking and unacceptable content, including posts about incels. Davison despised sexually active women and raged in Reddit posts about single mothers, as well as denouncing his own mom as vile dysfunction chaotic. That same year, incel follower Gabrielle Friel received a 10-year sentence for amassing a stockpile of weapons to carry out a terrorist attack. And last year, crossbow killer Kyle Clifford shot dead his ex-girlfriend Louise Hunt, her sister and mother. Just 24 hours earlier, he had watched ultra-violent misogyny content online, including 10 clips by Tate, who later branded him an idiot. Across the pond, Elliot Rodger stabbed and shot 6 in Isla Vista, California, and intended to shoot up a sorority house due to deep-seated hatred of women in 2014. He left behind a video and a 141-page autobiography detailing his anger about having never even kissed a girl, and said he had no choice but to exact revenge on the society that denied him sex and love. Sickeningly, Rodger, who took his own life, has since been hailed a hero by incels and inspired Canadian Alec Minashan, who mowed down 26 people, killing 11 in 2018. They say, the world is stacked against you, and it's a game that's impossible to win. You're right, women don't want you. Achieving success will be really difficult for you, and we're here to help you. Prior to the bloodbath and his suicide, Minashan wrote, "The incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys. All hail the supreme gentleman Elliot Rodger." Chads are muscular, popular men who sleep with lots of women, while Stacys are ultra-feminine, attractive and unattainable except to the former male group, according to incel ideology. Anthropologist Saul Parker, 48, co-founder of research organization The Good Side, was shocked to discover how rife misogynistic content has become. "It's everywhere, which may sound alarmist, but it's true," Saul said. "It's an overwhelming part of their world. We have to stop thinking of these young men as being on the fringe of society, because the majority are exposed to this content in some way." It emerged while surveying thousands of those aged 16 to 25 about suicide prevention for charity Movember, and interviewed a further 100 from the UK, US, and Australia. The bile was peddled to them while looking for answers to questions like how to get a girl, be successful, earn money, often through cryptocurrency, or get fitter, which makes up 80% of their content. That's why this content is so dangerous. It seems quite innocent on the surface, but then there is also misogynistic content too, Saul says. At first, those who actively consume manfluencer content told him they felt super confident and validated about their fears, but over time that often diminished into depression. Young men feel like they're public enemy number one, that they aren't welcome in society, are the least valued and don't feel like people, Saul tells us. One of the tricks of the manosphere is it says things like, "I see you, I see your problems and they are valid," but it paints a very nihilistic picture of the world. They say, "The world is stacked against you, and it's a game that's impossible to win. You're right, women don't want you. Achieving success will be really difficult for you, and we're here to help you." Obviously, they don't have the answers, and the young men they attract feel worthless and are more likely to feel sad, depressed, anxious, and harassed when the advice doesn't work. Low esteem, anger, and mental health struggles are especially present in the misogyny community. The government's 2024 survey found 1 in 5 incels contemplated suicide every day for the prior 2 weeks. Many presented a high degree of victimhood, and a third passed the cutoff point for an autism spectrum assessment. Saul believes young men, not being taught the history of gender politics, leaves them more susceptible to dangerous messages about gender dynamics and misogyny. Growing up at a time when gender equality is the norm, they don't really understand things like male privilege, he explains. Some people do talk down on women, calling them SL**S and W**S, but a lot of it is men asking others to rate their appearances to help with looks maxing. They told us, "I don't feel privileged, I don't feel like I have an advantage, so it's very hard for them to relate to. One thing that really surprised Saul was the large number of young men who considered Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, and other misogynists, like father figures and role models. So many of them told us things like, "Jordan Peterson has got my back, and he's in my corner, but in reality, people like him don't have their backs," he says. All he's really thinking about is his YouTube revenue. He is a commercial content creator, making millions of dollars a year from his online shows. While many have called for hate preachers to be banned, it's clear this approach doesn't work and risks driving content deeper underground, where it's even harder to see and challenge it. Despite Tate being banned on multiple social media sites, Saul says his misogyny-promoting videos are all over TikTok and YouTube, and are hugely prevalent online because fans cut up clips to share on the platforms. They will have YouTube playing in the background. When they watch one video, it will autoplay the next one and the next one, Saul explains. Our research found 12% of internet traffic is driven by the YouTube algorithm, meaning it's content people haven't chosen to watch, which is where it becomes dangerous. According to Saul, one of the main ways to help misogynists is to welcome them back into the tent of society. He's spoken to many who previously described themselves as red-pilled, meaning they ascribe to a misogynistic view of the world before turning away from women-hating. Saul says, they were people who used to be in Andrew Tate's Hustlers University, and there were a few interesting things that served as off-ramps to get them out of this ideology. Some had conversations with women and girls in their lives who helped them to rethink what they were being told, giving them reality checks and challenging their views. The NSPCC shares advice for parents to support safe internet usage in children. Rather than listening to an angry man they had never met on the internet, they realized to get a date, they might be better off talking to a real-life girl. Saul also feels dads, teachers, sports coaches, and youth leaders can step up and play a role in trying to be there for young men and give them real-world advice. Encouraging face-to-face friendships would be beneficial too, with Saul saying most young men they interviewed didn't have two pals they could invite over or speak to on the phone. He also believes parents can help by watching YouTube videos with their kids to understand the worldviews they are absorbing, and when necessary, challenge them. There is no easy fix, but charities including the Molly Rose Foundation warn the Prime Minister to protect women and girls from the toxic cocktail of risks by fixing online safety laws or risk them, bearing the brunt of this wave of disturbing but preventable harm. The NSPCC's policy manager Ronnie Govinder labels the deeply disturbing themes portrayed in Adolescence as unacceptable risks, and believes government intervention is vital. They say Ofcom's child safety codes, which are due to be published, are a crucial opportunity to strengthen our approach to online safety. Additionally, they want robust and ambitious implementation of the Online Safety Act to hold social media platforms accountable for creating safe, age-appropriate spaces for young users. Ronnie tells The Sun, simply banning under-16s from these platforms is not the answer, as this could potentially drive children to less secure, unregulated spaces where risks may be even greater. What's needed is effective enforcement of existing age restrictions, better safety by design principles, and empowering both parents and children with the knowledge to navigate the digital world safely.